Thank you, Mikhil, for joining us. I know you had to brave cyclones and all kinds of natural calamities to be here, and I'm grateful. And it's been wonderful working with BlueStone in general. Why don't we quickly start with your introduction and what is it that you do at BlueStone? How has been your sort of own journey like in the last decade or so? Over to you, Mikhil. Thank you.
Hey everyone. I take care of everything digital that you can imagine at BlueStone. So marketing reports to me, tech reports to me, product reports to me, and I think it's a for me also it's a very interesting role because this is the first time anything or any place from start of your Facebook or Google ads to to the eventual transaction to even post processing, everything has to follow through product, and that's why this role is even for me it is very different from whatever I've done in past. I have led product at Kritrim, which is the new AI child of Ola. Before that, I ran two companies, including Photograph AI and Front Row, which was darling of all the VCs at one point of time. Before that, I have also led product at Zest Money. I started my not started, but actually post college I spent I spent time in very early phases of Urban Company. I've seen the company growing from $0 to $100 million within I think 8 months. So
8 months?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was amazing. but that's a quick brief about me.
No, thank you. So I'd like to begin with I think the numbers are already in the public domain. Congratulations on the IPO. It's been a fabulous journey, and I think that's a wonderful destination for all companies to get to. Give it up for BlueStone. It's been a wonderful IPO. Mikhil, what I wanted to sort of touch upon with you is, I think just for the audience, the broader context on jewelry by nature is omni-channel. But just for the audience to sort of internalize what omni means, can you shed some light on what's the distribution of the business? How much of that is online? What is offline? What is the intersection? Just high-level numbers that will be very useful to put the context.
So jewelry, or interestingly, any high-value product is by nature omni-channel. Reason being, you would want to do insane amount of research online or offline to build even decision that I want to go forward with this. But eventually, when it comes to the purchase, sometimes you are brave enough to do it online, but bunch of times you want to go offline. You want to talk to somebody. You want to build that trust, and then want to make the eventual purchase. And jewelry is one category. Maybe cars would be vehicle would be another category. House would be another category. These are the transactions where where you would want that stitching to be there, just to bring just to quote some numbers. Almost 75 to 80% of our purchases happen offline. 20 to 25% of the purchases happen online. But if I shut online, my volume will go down to zero. That's the kind of stitching we have to do. Even if you look at our monthly active user base, it will look almost as high as a content application. So that's the kind of journey that we have.
So what's the key insight? Are you trying to say that even people who end up buying offline, they do a lot of research online before they buy offline? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And just to just again reiterating on the vehicle example, because that almost everyone relates to. Just imagine if you have to buy the new Tata launch. It's not you just saw the ad and you are going to go to the store and you are going to buy. You will go to maybe, I don't know, or all the car research websites. You will go to YouTube. You will search all those kind of things. And interestingly, all previous almost all high value journeys were always omni-channel. It's just that the brands used to own only the offline component of it, and that's why it was called offline. But people were, I think, doing research. Is that that part of the journey was not owned by the brand. In this case, like we want to own as much as we can. Still, the user is going to go on Pinterest. Still, the user is going to go on YouTube. But at least even if we can own 40% of the research journey on our platform, I think we can add a lot of value to the user.
Because Mikhil mentioned automobile and Tata Motors new launch. Quick ad. Tata Motors uses WebEngage. Please give it up for WebEngage. And most importantly, if you have actually received anything about the Sierra launch on any of the channels, it's been powered by WebEngage. So kudos to the team. I think some of the folks are here also. We did a lot of great work there. Coming back to you, Mikhil. So we understand this. You're saying there is a lot of high touch online research, even for people who end up buying offline. How do you think of your CLM strategy in this construct? It's most people when they think online, when they think offline, they think of it as two different things, right? How do you sort of think of it as one, the CLM strategy in general?
It is actually it is actually one journey only, and whenever I talk about any transaction, whenever I talk about any conversion, and even when the customer is walking in the store, it is you're aiming towards a conversion. And if I have to take parallel from all the super amazing online companies, what they would do is whenever a customer is going to make a transaction, there is always a calculation of probability, that what is the probability of this person doing a purchase, and the same probability goes to your churn analytics, that if the user has done these A, C, and D, then the probability of purchase is this. If the user has done C, E, and F, then the probability of purchase is something else. Same holds true for me when a customer walks in the store. When the moment customer walks in the store, I know that customer has done X, Y, Z stuff online. I know that the probability of purchase will be this. And on the other way around also, if I know that the customer is going to visit my store, I will make sure that the customer checks this out. My customer maybe gets this XYZ notification, maybe this communication is already ingrained in my customer's head. Because if that is true, if all that has happened, then my probability of purchase will just keep increasing. So yeah, so that's the thought process with which we operate.
Very interesting you say that because I think I've seen most Omni, we've worked with quite a few, and I'm generally aware after talking to a lot of leaders, especially in Omni businesses, it's extremely hard for them to sort of see this as one journey. And I think, Mikhil, the way you guys think about the product in general makes a lot of difference, right? The simplicity, I don't know how many people know here, the BlueStone app or even the mobile web experience, correct me if I'm wrong, for their users browsing on their own in the digital world versus an assisted sales experience in the store actually ends up using the same native app, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, it's the same native app. There are maybe 10-20% differences, but the base layer of data, the base layer of decision, it's exactly same. Even
right.
We treat our store staff as as consumers only. Even on their storefront application, we throw events, we throw notifications, we throw suggestions, that helps them to close the deal.
Absolutely right. Just going one level deeper, what Mikhil is saying is whatever you're tracking, whether the user is doing by themselves in the digital world or in the assisted sales format in your stores, it's all the same data streams for that user that's being tracked, and which is why you know the user as one, right? I think there was a slide before this. Yes, it's not very clear. But basically what we're trying to show here, yes, all this data that you see is actually attributes being built and enhanced inside WebEngage for all BlueStone users, where those ones that you see on the right hand side are derived on the basis of their browsing behavior, right, or transaction behavior, and these attributes are being put to use for all the very high quality precision segments, very high quality personalization, etc. So yes, I think this has been one fabulous execution, Mikhil and team. Congratulations. Okay, I wanted to go to the next one. We've seen this. There is a clear sort of difference of user behavior when people buy low AOV products versus high. Please do dwell on this. How do you guys think about a mental model of engagement for users in two different buckets?
For me, the pre-purchase engagement becomes, I just can't miss it, because like how I generally explain it is, with increase in AOV, number of engagement points required to close the deal increases, and also the time to convert increases. So there's a higher chance that the customer will drop off. And anyways, there's a lot of friction because of the amount of the product, because of the trust that you need to build. Generally it's a much higher friction journey. That's why I need to be very precise with where I need to touch base with the customer, what communication do I need to send. It has to be very precise in terms of, I also cannot go overboard with 20 notifications or 20 calls in between the journey. I also have to design that maybe when the customer has done this, then maybe a notification will be thrown. When the customer has done this, then even my Facebook ads are created through a segment which comes out of this journey. Even the calls are not randomly decided by somebody creating an Excel sheet. It is created through the journey. My journey triggers the call, and then the sales agent ends up connecting with the customer. To be honest, I would have, if laws would have allowed, I would have preferred to even capture the conversations that is happening in the store, throw that back here, and even throw events based on that. But yeah, but typically I think since, because the EOV is pretty high, everything increases, the number of sessions increase, the amount of time increase, and that's why you need to design your journey very precisely.
And I think what you're saying, the reason why I find your CLM execution to be great is because these are the points of distinction between how one journey looks different from other. This is a lot more engaged, a lot more long running, and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah, and also since number of events is pretty high, this also gives you opportunity and also a lot of burden that you can mount multiple journeys. The opportunity of doing ABs increase a lot. So obviously the pressure on team is comparatively much higher, but I think this is also a great opportunity that you can design multiple ABs and try to mount, see the uplift, whatever works, just double down on that.
Right. So do throw some light on this. There is a very extensive use. I think because a lot of your growth team comprises the product folks. There is a very natural inclination to being data/insights led about CLM. I absolutely love that. I think it's a great way to sort of build a great CLM strategy. You know what you want to fix, right? So do shed some light on how you think about your CLM in general.
So it's pretty simple. We try to create as many funnels as we can. We try to see the change in funnels over time, that wherever we can. And when I talk about funnels, it's not just the product funnels, it's even the communication funnels. And wherever we see a large opportunity, for example, if we see a 50% drop, we try to hypothesize why that might be happening. The moment we hypothesize that, we create sub funnels of that, and that is where we try to double down on maybe one or two strategies. We try to then figure out whatever can be the solution for it. It can be a communication solution. It can be a very very tricky insight-based product change, or maybe just a banner change, or it can be complete revamp or something. Whatever is we'll build that hypothesis, and once that hypothesis is built, I just don't throw that out. I try to do a proper AB with a 50-50 split, or maybe a 20-80 kind of a split. The moment it works out really well, I then end up scaling it across, and that is that is a continuous loop that keeps on that keeps on happening literally every second week.
I'm going to show something which what am I looking at? Oh, absolutely. Okay. Cool. All right. Sarthak, just zoom on the right hand side. Absolutely. Okay. Now, I was very amazed to see this. I think I saw this a year back when I was sitting with Mikhil in one of the conversations. A very detailed checkout funnel in itself, right? What you see here is checkout steps. Now, Mikhil, please tell us, we'll get to the funnel in a bit, but please tell us why this is important. I haven't seen too many marketing teams, when they obsess about funnels, there are so many funnels that they try to optimize, but I haven't seen, in particular people say, oh, I'm going to figure out what my problem with the checkout funnel per se is. Why is this important in your business?
This actually, I'll tell you a little bit brief, which is also not mentioned in the slide. So we did some marketing change, and we saw that, actually the ROAS ended up, dipping, and we thought, no, it is not working out. But when we dug deeper, we saw that actually new user engagement has increased, the overall traffic has increased, and then we saw that some of the actual bottom of the funnel or mid of the funnel activities which were working at small scale suddenly stopped working at bigger scale, and then we started digging deep of where just imagine user journey as a plane going from Delhi to, let's say, Bombay. 100 people flew, and suddenly you started throwing X number of people from the plane, and I feel very bad when literally in the first half an hour I've thrown 50 people out of my plane. That's how I think about it. So it doesn't matter how many people I board on the plane, if I keep throwing them off, my marketing anyways is not going to work. So this is what we saw. We saw 3 or 4 places where where the drop off was pretty high, and obviously literally the previous slide is how we ended up solving it. We built 3-4 hypotheses. We mounted them on XYZ amount percentage of users, whatever worked the best, we ended up scaling that. And I think the uplift and everything is anyways mentioned.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And we picked this up only to highlight how just funnels as one capability has so many such usages within BlueStone across different parts of how to fix product challenges, how to fix growth challenges, how to fix repeat challenges, and so on and so forth. Just this one single feature being used in insane ways. We can go to the next, Satya. Right. So yes, you were talking about this problem and then the fix, right? Please tell us about the fix.
So this I think is a different, again, I mentioned about 2-3 different places where we found the gap. The biggest gap was address, and we go all out even to the extent of saying that we will not collect the address unless and until the transaction has happened. I have my product is a high value product, maybe I'll do it later. So even since we think in terms of mounting that campaign, mounting that journey and looking at it if it will work or not, I think we can go all out even in terms of those wacky decisions where generally maybe your senior will say no, we can't do this and all those kind of things. You can always say let us mount it for 5% of the users, and that's how it works. One more interesting thing I would tell you, maybe a little bit of digression from this. I ask even my marketing teams, my brand teams to look at videos as funnels. I ask them what is the engagement in first 3 seconds. I ask them what is it in every 3 second ka bracket, and your whole video is a product, and look at it funnel wise, and literally Instagram or YouTube gives you that data. You can see a sharp drop which 3 seconds of the video is not working, which 3 seconds of the content is not working, or maybe your 5th image as a carousel is not working. It literally is the same thought process across.
Absolutely, and I am going to do a small product plug here. Zoom this a little, Satya, on the right hand side. Yeah, Mikhil is smiling. I have to do this nonetheless. We have spent a lot of money getting this done. You see this 2A, B, C, D, and so on and so forth. We'll talk about a lot of improvements in our analytics modules subsequently. In the funnel, we have added this capability to add multiple events to a step. So if you see funnels, right, you have step 1, step 2, step 3, everything is an event. At each step, you can specify multiple events now, which basically gives you the ability to do what's being shown here. And I just wanted to bring your attention to this. Those who are users of funnel, you're going to find this very, very useful. We can go to the next setup. Yes, this is my favorite part. Mikhil, I see customer after customer. I think everybody thinks of CLM as more campaigns, which is fine, which is how everybody starts. But what I see end up doing is keep just doing more of the same thing, right? More campaigns, which means build more segments every day, build more campaigns every day, and just keep doing this repeat mode, right? What I've seen very interestingly with you guys is what we, as WebEngage, we try to sort of empower companies to do more of that, is to move to what we like to call always on, right? There are patterns, there are problems, there are use cases that don't need to be worked upon every day. These are user journeys, these are CLM journeys that need to be always on. New user, existing user, old user, doesn't matter. They are always on mode. We've seen you guys make that transition, right, very smoothly. What makes it happen? How do you even think about this? How do you even articulate this problem statement? I mean, lack of people for one. If you don't have enough people, you'll think automation first. But how do you think about it?
I don't, and this is a very contrarian view. I believe in algorithms taking over whatever it can, and the thought process. I think this personalization thought process has been there since ages, even before 1990s, when website and all was popping up. Relationship managers were always there. What was the function of a relationship manager? They understood the customer. They used to personalize the pitch, personalize the offering according to the customer, and then then all these digital tools started coming up. Then you started creating cohorts. Now cohort is also a relationship manager of your customer, which understands the needs of of your customer. And I think with all the agentic stuff that you guys are building, and also with the advancement, I personally believe that all this categorization and segmentation will go to almost n equals to 1, and obviously multiple users can have similar preferences, but I think if your aim is to reach to n equals to 1 customer is to personalization view, I think that is the eventual optimization. And going little bit top of the funnel, if you see Google and Meta, they work best because they have almost that level of automated segmentation.
Right. Fair point. Clearly, I mean, we cannot disclose all the numbers, but the fact that a lot of what we've been able to do with Mikhil and team is to convert these campaigns into sort of always on mode. The outcomes in the form of metrics are fabulous, right? And we just used engagement rate here. But pretty much all the other metrics, right, around reorders, repeats, they've all sort of improved dramatically. We did have some campaigns, I think. Okay, cool. So, Mikhil, last slide here, and closing thoughts. I think there are a lot of people in this room who could use advice from you. What would be the top sort of 3 key takeaways when you think CLM? How to go about that journey? And I think anything that you wish to sort of bring about here, please.
See, my personal suggestion will be just break it down, break your customer segments, your channels, your whatever variable you can think of, just break it down in terms of those variables, and you have to ramp up on very small insights. For example, you can see your is mentioned everywhere. That comes out of some experimentation analysis, that we know that this particular customer segment is more they will get converted when I mention your as compared to you. Literally, there is a different customer segment where if I mention the first name that gets activated that gets activated in a much better way. So I'm just giving you that that small of an insight, but literally everything, color, combination of the way I mention the offer. If a customer is more susceptible to a bank offer as compared to the main offer, all those segmentations have to be built, and your campaigns has to literally follow that. It cannot be a subjective decision that I feel that this is going to work, and then you end up sending out sending out all these campaigns. It has to be calculated. It has to be very almost what I mentioned, calculating the probability of conversion through a mental model is what you have to operate with.
Important and I think very pertinent. We've seen significant uptick at BlueStone with a very well laid out CRM strategy. A lot of work is yet to be done, and there's a lot of omni-channel revamp that Mikhil is driving. Hopefully, when we get him here next time, he'll have a lot more to talk about that too in general. But thank you, Mikhil, once again for everything that you shared today. It's been a pleasure meeting you here.